Now, let's talk about the Toronto club party scene here for a second.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people been feeling and believe that the club scene here in Toronto is dead. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it depends on, I think a lot has to do with how old are you? You know, like firstly, are you in your 30s, 40s? Are you in your 50s? If you're a little older, you might say, yeah, it's dead because you can't really resonate with anything that maybe that's going on. There might not be as many clubs that cater to that age group, whereas a younger person who's in their 20s might be. There
Right.
might be a whole bunch of. Actually, I was walking down the street on King Street last Friday,
Yeah.
and it was packed, and I couldn't believe it. Oh, there was a lot of young people there,
Yeah.
and every block had a huge lineup of people, young people trying to get into a party. So if you were someone walking on King Street and you saw that, you would. I don't think you would say the club scene is dead.
Fair.
But if you're an older person and there's one party a month, then yeah, you're gonna think it's dead. But I think another thing that way to distinguish this thing is that there's clubs that have a weekly program, but then there's also events. I think when you get older, you move away from the clubs, going out on a weekly basis with your crew or your friends or whatever, and you wait for events, right?
I like that distinction.
Once a month, once every 2 months, you know, something that, you know, you like, oh, I get to dress up now for this Met Gala type of event or this all white event or this all black, or I love R&B. Let me go to this R&B music event or what have you. So I think that's what I'm seeing now is that they're more event driven as opposed to club driven. You know, you're following promoters or event organizers. And those are a little bit few and far between, but that's, you know, it's not as consistent or frequent.
Listen, I love the way you just phrased that. I think when you get older, you go from more club scene to more event driven.
That's right.
Outings. That makes sense to me. I can track that.
Yeah.
But are you going on record saying that the club scene in Toronto is not dead?
I honestly can't say that because, answer that because, like I said, I was walking on the street and it was packed.
Yeah.
But I'm a little older too.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's dead. No, I don't think it's dead. It's just, what is your preference? What do you like? And you just have to find it. And I think it's all there for you if you just look for it.
Right. But you are acknowledging, I guess it gets harder to find where to have fun when you get older.
Yes.
And that's what the challenge is. But that's where you come in, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, though, kind of as a follow-up to that, what do you think or what do you believe was the best club era in Toronto? Like, I have my thoughts. Listen, I'm always going to pick when I was young. But I feel like that early 2000, mid 2000 era was the best. But then to your point, what you just said, I look at how old I was. and for me, I was in like, you know, I was coming from 19 into my early 20s, right? So that's the time where so many things are available to you. But I also feel like culturally, the city, I felt like, if I just use like Caravana as an example, I just felt like Caravana was a bigger event back then.
I agree. 100%.
So there was a lot more parties going on.
For sure. Yeah, that era where you remember everyone always talks about this, the Friday night on Young Street. Right?
Yeah.
That was a party in itself.
Yeah.
You didn't even need to go into any clubs.
That's right.
I think that era was amazing for the city. Everybody wanted to be in Toronto, right? People from New York, Chicago, Detroit, you know, New Jersey. So that era was great. You know, the era where Richmond had a club every step you take. There's another club there. You know, the days of like Fluid and all those clubs back in the day. That was a really good time.
What would you say is your favorite club from back in the day?
I liked Fluid.
Fluid
was cool on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Thursday nights was a vibe.
What would you say is a runner-up to that from back in the day? Because for me, I'm thinking like my memories I have, if I'm thinking about distinct club memory spots, the Docks.
The Docks,
was one. Man, what was another one that was standing out to me? I don't know. I'm just thinking of Docks right now, but there's another
yeah.
one that will come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A runner up, jeez. I don't know. See, I was pretty event driven back then too.
Okay.
You know? I didn't really, except for Fluid. There wasn't
Yeah.
really a club where I said, "Hey, man, I need to be there every Friday or every Saturday." It wasn't really
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember there were so many that kind of popped up and then popped off.
Right.
Like I remember there was like Club Phoenix, and then there was something like 21 or something like that. Man, there was a few back in the day that popped on and popped off. But yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Let's talk day parties real quick.
Okay.
Have they officially taken over the nightlife party scene?
Yeah, day parties are great, you know. They've been real popular, I would say, for the last 10 years or so. They're more and more people are doing them, and it makes sense, you know. You could go home and have a good sleep, you know, at a nice time. And I think that's the key thing.
Yeah.
Is you still get your good night's sleep,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, I think the vibes too, like looking outside a window or being outside and the sun is there, that alone is a vibe, I think, you know.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think about why day parties are becoming so popular, and you call it a good point. You could still get home at a reasonable time and still have reasonable sleep, and go to work or do your business the next day. But for a city like Toronto, where it's cold, like 7 out of 12 months, day parties, you feel like it gets limiting a little bit, right? But I just been seeing so many different themes around day parties, whether it's on streets or whether it's in an actual like club event location. I'm just like, I wonder what the fascination is. Like I've been to a few, and I like them, and especially like in the States on a Sunday, right? The Sunday fun days or the Sunday brunches are a big thing. I see that trend happening here too, and I'm sure you're like tapping into that.
100%. I mean, early on, I was doing day parties, and that's what really got things going. Were the day parties?
Yeah.
There weren't that many at that time, and people really gravitated towards them. They loved it. It was new. You know, we've been going to night parties for decades. So when the day party came around, it was something new and refreshing. I think that's why people really liked it.
Right. So do you feel like day parties have overthrown the nightlife parties?
Yeah, I think so to a degree, depending on, again, demographics and your age and whatnot, but especially for older people, I would say, yeah. So here's the thing. The Toronto, like the overall, the Toronto party scene, let's just call it that, whether day party or nighttime, where do you think the city has to like go to get to the next level? What do you think that next level is for the city? Because you obviously you like Miami. We're never gonna be in Miami. Let's just call a spade. But like, let me take a step back. Is there another level for us to reach? Do you feel like there is, or? Yeah, I think there's always room to grow and get better.
Yeah.
What that is, I don't know. I think spaces, we need some new spaces. We're kind of limited.
Like venue locations.
Venues.
Yeah.
We're limited in that regard. And we need more creativity.
Yeah.
I think we have, our city is full of so many smart, creative people. And I think we just need to apply that more and not look to Miami or New York or Los Angeles and do our own thing and embrace it and push it forward.
You know what I think is kind of, maybe I'm wrong in this, but I think what could be unique to us is basement jams. Because I remember in like high school, like you weren't old enough to kind of go to the clubs yet.
Yeah.
And like basement parties were like kind of like the thing until you could be old enough to go to the clubs. So I'm like, I'm sure this has been done, but maybe not at scale. But could you recreate like
Absolutely. There are people doing that.
Yeah.
There are people doing that now.
Yeah.
I went to one last month.
Oh, wow.
Where it was in a basement.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was amazing. The energy was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are people, there's great promoters in the city doing new things. We just need more and more and more of it.
Yeah. Because you know what I'm thinking? I really want Toronto to get back to that like when everyone thought Sean Paul was from Toronto vibe. That era, you know, like I felt like,
right.
you know, that era, like I felt like, I want to say we've lost or cachet, but it felt like our light has been dimmed
Right.
a bit.
Yeah.